Hello everyone, good morning, good evening. Welcome to another PMP live class. Today we will be discussing 10 more questions. I hope you could see my screen. Those who are watching on YouTube, if you want to join the live class and you need a Zoom link, you can simply contact here and you will get class link. So anyone can join. No registration is needed. All right, so let's start question number 1. All right, so Has, you have chosen option A.
Yeah, the question is about the effective way to measure the motivation of your team, right? Uh, yeah, so I thought, sorry, I thought first initially the measured the performance. I read it wrong, but yeah, the motivation level can be then, then I would like to change my answer. Maybe uh, C is an answer, not A. I mean, if I were to measure the performance, yes, A would be the better option. Now, looking at this again, right, I would say C. Sorry for that. I
All
would
right.
say C. The reason for C is basically the way they interact, communication style during the meeting and informal discussion, because that gives a good measure of how they interact with each other.
All right. Thank you. Manmeet, you have chosen option C.
Um, yes, because in this scenario, we are checking the motivation level. We are assessing the motivation of the team and to making sure they are engaged and performance is good. I believe during the meetings and especially the informal discussion point C, which is highlighting, having those meetings, I would be observing through their behaviors, how they take tasks, how they're performing. So observation is really what I believe is a key point here where we can communicate. I'll be noticing, I'll be, observing things where I feel that okay, they are discouraged or they are encouraged and stuff like that. So A, B, D does not make more sense when it comes to this scenario. C makes more better fit. That's why I picked C.
All right. Thank you. Carlos, you have chosen option B.
Yeah, not everybody, it's difficult, but not everybody has the ability to observe the interactions. And I agree with C also, but the surveys, I think Anonymous will gather feedback on satisfaction, and they will be very open to answer how they're doing.
All right. Thank you. Okay. Let's read the question. It says, as a PM, you want to assess the motivation level of your project team members to ensure high performance and engagement throughout the project. Which of the following approaches would be the most effective? So option A, conduct regular performance reviews and use quantitative metrics such as task completion rate. So yes, it could be a good measure of performance, but it doesn't mean team members are motivated. So for example, if a team member is completing their task, right? it doesn't mean they're doing because they are motivated. Maybe they are doing because of pressure, maybe they are doing because of other reasons, but it doesn't mean they are motivated. So performance is not directly linked with motivation. Option B, use anonymous surveys to gather feedback on job satisfaction, engagement, and willingness to take on additional responsibilities. So one comment that Manmeet made, like you will be observing, right? So what you want to do with observation? With observation, you want to understand team dynamics, what they are feeling, right? If they are engaged or not. So the best way to learn if they are engaged or how they are feeling or if they are satisfied or not, to have direct, elicitation of information from them. So direct extraction of information from them. And what's the best way to learn about their feelings is to have anonymous feedback. And anonymous feedback you can gather through anonymous survey. When you have that survey, you'll get to know what team members are feeling about job satisfaction, what are their concerns, what are the problems, what are the things they like, what are the things they don't like. So the best form to learn if they are happy, satisfied, or they're, motivated, that is option B, use anonymous survey to gather feedback. Observation is good, but observation may lead to incorrect conclusion, right? So to get the right answer, talk to them, learn about their feelings, right? So you're doing same thing, but in a different and an effective way. Option D, evaluate the number of hours each team members are willing to work beyond. So number of hours are not related to motivation. Motivation is more like taking initiative. Motivation is more like being creative. Motivation is more like willing to go extra mile, right? So correct answer is option B. Let's read the explanation. So we are interested in honest feedback and how we get honest feedback through anonymous surveys. Next question. All right, Vivek, you have chosen option A.
Yes. So it's mentioned that Agile environment is used and Scrum is the methodology Scrum framework is being used. So in Scrum, always the estimation is done on the story points completed in the earlier sprints or earlier iterations. So that's the only way we can estimate in proper manner. The other options where we cannot adjust our deadline based on the current progress. So the task can be very of various natures, so it cannot be B cannot be the answer. Qualitative assessment with team members is again not the right method, and fixed time box for each task is not the right approach. Time box can be set for sprint, but not for the task. So A is the correct option here.
All right, thank you for detailed explanation. Most of you have chosen option A. So yes, A is the correct answer. If we want to calculate how much time we will be spending for the entire project, so what we do, we calculate total story points. So for example, let's say we say our total story points are somewhere here. So let's suppose total story points are 200. And then we say, what is team's velocity? How much team completes in one iteration, right? So we take average of last 3 iterations to get the team velocity. So let's suppose team velocity, what team actually completes is, suppose we say 20 story points. So from here, we can calculate number of iterations. So 200 divided by 20 means there are 10 iterations. And we can see what is the duration for each iteration. Let's suppose if it is 2 weeks, so it means we need 20 weeks. So this is how we calculate duration in agile projects, right? So correct answer is option A. Use the total number of story points completed in each sprint to calculate the team's velocity and estimate the remaining work. Option B, review the original project schedule and adjust the deadlines based on the current progress of each work. There is no need to review the original project duration, right? We can simply calculate total story points and divide them by the so we can calculate total story points and we can divide by the velocity for each sprint. Please keep yourself on mute. Option C, conduct a qualitative assessment with team member to get their opinions on the potential completion date. Yes, you take the assessment, you take their input, but what's the method you will be using? So that's not a specific answer. Option D, set fixed time boxes for the project. So as Vivek mentioned, we set fixed time boxes for the sprint, but not for the entire project. So correct answer is option A. Let's read the explanation. Next question. All right, Carlos, you have chosen option D.
Yeah, I think the fixed time for everybody will be difficult. And because in different parts of the world, I think everybody here understands that. Then rotate times could be, but we could miss some key people in some key meetings, and then we will not be able to make the decision. Asynchronous communication could work, but then there's never one meeting that everybody's in. But if you allow the team to create in their regional subgroups, like if you subgroup and then you have a meeting, a periodic meeting for the results, that might work.
All right, thank you for detailed explanation. Manmeet, you have chosen option C.
I had a hard time picking C, but the reason why I picked C is team is facing challenging in coordinating meetings and real-time collaboration. Since there's a challenge and it's a global project having different time zones, uh, team productivity is the one that we need to maintain, handling time zone differences. I believe asynchronous communication would have people to manage their time to response. If we show there's a clear guidance for responses, that real time meeting, the need of that would be lessened. There will be still clear communication and transparency goes on in there, and they will be coordinating. But yeah, real time collaboration is something we sacrifice and see, but there will still be communication and coordination can happen through asynchronized method of communication. That's why I picked C.
All right, thank you for detailed explanation. So There are 2 or 3 things that PMI says when it comes to handling virtual teams. So one is flexibility, right? So when team members are from different time zones, we cannot fix the time, number one. Why we can't fix the time? If we fix the time, then some people would compromise, right? Because it's a global project, right? So maybe it would be convenient for a few, but it would be less convenient for a few. We won't be going with that option, right? So option A, reach a consensus on a meeting at a fixed time. We won't be doing that because some people, they have to sacrifice for this. Option B, rotate meeting times to ensure the inconvenience in a shared equally among, again, we don't share inconvenience equally. And as Carlos mentioned, we will be missing some people, right? So we won't be going with this option. Now, option C and D. Option C says use asynchronous communication tools and establish. Asynchronous communication tool is a tool where presence of all team members at the same time is not needed. Right. So for example, for this meeting, for Zoom, we need asynchronous communication. All of us should be here at the same time to do the class, right? So that could be challenging for people who are not, and that's the case. A lot of people are not able to join these meetings because it's too early for them or it's too late for them, right? Asynchronous communication, on the other hand, is different people can communicate according to their ease and according to their preferences, right? So asynchronous means when you don't need to have all the people at the same time. And what exactly we want to achieve here? We want to achieve real-time collaboration. So real-time collaboration means I can communicate whenever I want to communicate, right? So if I have an automated system where I can communicate without having the need of somebody else, let's suppose a dashboard, or let's suppose a data repository, let's suppose a product management information system, where I can provide information whenever I'm available and I can see information whenever I want to see, right? So correct answer is option C, use asynchronous communication system tool and establish clear guidelines for response time to reduce the need for. So you have some level of control and you have a lot of flexibility here. Option D, allow the team member to create their meeting schedule based on. So yes, you will be having collaboration among subgroups, but what about the overall team, right? So again, you're constraining overall team collaboration by doing D. So correct answer is option C. Let's read the explanation. Next question. All right, Mohan, you have chosen option A.
Yeah, I chose option A because it's talking about people basically um, having that reduced morale and leading to fear and excessive control, right? So team performance essentially is declining, right? And the best option here to improve, the first things you got to do in order to build positive work environment is basically by trust and transparency, right? So option A essentially meets that need, where you're kind of increasing that transparency, and actually providing the rationale behind whatever decisions you're making. So I thought option A was the best one. Other options talk about the other stuff like program KPIs, performance KPIs, etc., which was unrelated.
All right. Thank you, Mohan. Lala, you have chosen option D.
Yeah, so we're the project manager here, and our team is we're kind of an excessive control leading a fear to our team, right? So their kind of morale is reduced, and how we can, what is the best first action should take handle the situation to make sure the team performance in a positive environment. So I think and even if I crossed it out A, because even if you be transparent with them, you share them why you're kind of controlling these, it will not help them, I feel like. So if you give decision making power for the team and reduce it, give the autonomy to the team, that you kind of empowering them, right? You're empowering the team, you're giving them, hey, you can make your own decision and I'll support you and stuff like that. That will bring up the team's morale than you kind of constantly controlling them, and then at the end of the day you giving them a reasoning saying, hey, I'm controlling you because of this reason. I mean, how is that going to help for the team performance? So that's why I thought it would be better to kind of give them the decision making power to the team and increase their morale.
Perfect. Thank you, Lala, for detailed explanation. Lala, what's happening in option C? So D is more like you're giving power and autonomy. What's happening in option C?
So involving the team performance and key performance indicators. I mean, how am I going to bring the team saying this is your KPIs, right? You're performing bad. As far as I understand question, I mean, option C, that's what it's saying. Involve the team members in developing KPIs to monitor and performance collaboration. So bring them saying that we performing, involving in the KPIs. How is that going to give them a morale and empower them? I don't understand that. That's why I don't think C is a good option.
All right. Thank you. Suhas, you have chosen option D.
Yeah, very similar reason as what Leila just said. And the reason C, C also looks, even if I develop the KPIs, again, we're going to control them, right? In the sense, like we're going to ask them, we're going to evaluate them. So the team still feels something similar of control, even though these are defined by the team themselves, right? So that's the reason. And
So you're saying there shouldn't be any KPI.
no, what I'm trying to say is that in this scenario where they feel they're excessively being controlled, right? So to ensure a positive framework of positive environment, empowering the team will help more than having a KPI and again evaluating them against those KPIs. KPIs will help, but now the situation is how do we empower the team, right? So that's the reason I thought D is a better option.
All right. Thank you for detailed explanation. Okay. Nikki, you have chosen option A.
Yeah, I had a hard time choosing between A and D. I'm kind of going back and forth. I think the increasing transparency is big because you let them in on your thinking, and that maybe helps them to buy in and have a little more buy-in in your thought process. And so I'm thinking that when you're doing that, you're also having discussions about the rationale. So it doesn't feel as if you're controlling them before. So you're able to improve morale that way. But then I also see, some power in delegating decision making, because then you're also letting them make choices, and that of course improves morale when they feel like they're in more control instead of you being in control. So I kind of struggled with which one to pick, but so I didn't think B and C were good choices. So
All right, thank you for detailed explanation. Now let's read the question. It says, as a PM, you have noticed that your team performance is declining due to a perception of excessive control. So there is a perception of excessive control, right? Team members perceive that the controls are excessive. So what you should be doing, what's the first action? The first thing is you need to address that perception. So as Nikki mentioned, first of all, you need to clarify the reason and rationale for the control, and maybe that could be helpful in the situation to negate that perception. So first you need to, so again, the principle is same. First of all, try to understand the situation or build that shared understanding about the current situation. If that doesn't work, then you can go with other option, right? So the best choice or preferred choice, the first action is talk about the current situation, right? What's going on? What's the need of the control? Why we are having these controls, right? So you can respond to that, directly target that perception. So increase transparency by having an open discussion about why we are having control, or are we having control or not? Maybe the perception is wrong, right? So first of all, go with this. If that doesn't work, for example, if it says what's the second best choice, then I would involve team member. Okay, come, let's talk about it. What sort of control you want, right? What's wrong with the current situation and what do you want? The problem with option D is that it's a complete, it's a system where you don't have any sort of oversight or monitoring or anything. So C is a better choice as compared to D, and D is very generic, C is very specific. Correct answer is option A. All other options are incorrect. Let's read the explanation. So this approach directly addresses the core issue. What's the core issue here? The perception of excessive control. So first you need to address that. Next question. All right, Kokila, you have chosen option C.
Yeah, I remember that it is tornado diagram is relative to sensitivity and impact. So the other options were when I check help in risk reporting, I ruled out help prioritizing the risk factor based on criticality of the projects. I ruled out help simplify data analysis through visual representation also. So that's why I picked option C.
All right, thank you. Mohan, you have chosen option B.
I can visualize what the tornado diagram is, and I kind of feel like it's C because it categorizes the risks. But I was not sure of the relative sensitivity and impact, so I thought B seemed more of a tornado diagram where you are prioritizing the risk factors, because ultimately you are bringing to attention the risk factors that are higher or lower opportunities, right? Based on the criticality of the project objectives. So that's why I thought B was a better response.
All right, thank you for detailed explanation. Now, if we talk about the sensitivity analysis or the tornado diagram, so it looks like this. So along the one side, we have positive risks or opportunities. On the other side, we have threats. So it's something like this. So in the form of bars, we can represent various risk factors here, right? So let's suppose these are your threats, right? And similarly, you're having, let's suppose, your opportunities on this side, right? Right? Now, this is your tornado diagram. Now, if you see this, there is no categorization here. It's just prioritization. We prioritize risk factor based on their criticality or based on their sensitivity to the project objective, how sensitive they are, how critical they are to project objective. So it's prioritization, it's not categorization. We don't see any category here. You understand? So So if I go back here, option A helps in risk reporting to key stakeholders. Yes, it does, but that's not the primary purpose, right? So we can easily delete this option. Helps prioritize the risk factors based on their criticality or sensitivity. So this is the correct answer. Option B helps categorize. No, it doesn't categorize. There are no categories here. Helps simplify data analysis through visual representation. Yes, it's a visual representation, but there are other tools as well that you use for visual representation. So the primary purpose is not just visual representation, right? So correct answer is it helps prioritize the risk factor based on their criticality to project objective like cost and timeline. So correct answer is option B. Let's read the explanation. Sorry. Next question. All right, Carlos, you have chosen option B.
Yeah, I think maybe just pulling aside that specific person or team member in meeting and trying to understand what is going on. Maybe there's something that he has a reason for that, and then from there you can reinforce some ground rules.
All right, thank you. Robin, you have chosen option C.
Yes, as far as I can remember, option C fits in with the project. I was choosing between C and D, but then I thought that C would probably be in terms of D. So C would be the better answer.
All right, thank you. Manmeet, you have chosen option A and then B.
I really don't know what to pick here. Sorry. Um, yeah, first of all, it's a complaint, and we are, as a project manager, we need to take care of that. But the question is asking, what should you do first to address the situation? Um, that's where the answer lies, right? What should be the first action to do? Can we see, because we need to review the team charter to see agreed and preferred work styles of the team member before meeting them. It's like B is like, if I go to them and if the team charter has a different criteria, it will be like a raw confrontation from my side. So I'm actually a bit between A, B, and C. I really don't know which to pick. A was a type and error though. Just ignore my A option. I was in between B and C.
All right, thank you for explanation. So let's read the question. It says, as a PM, you receive a complaint that a team member consistently leaves the project site without informing anyone. So first is it's a complaint like team member leaves the project site without informing anyone. Although we don't suppose anything, right? We don't assume anything, but if it's a complaint means there is something wrong, but let's not assume, right? Now, what should you do first to address this situation and maintain team discipline, right? Again, the very first thing is try to understand the situation. And what's the best way to understand? Have conversation, talk to the team member. So rather than reviewing documents, talk to the individual, like what's the reason? And if they say, yes, this is the policy, you'll get the answer there, right? So to understand the situation, the best form is meet with the team member to understand the reasons for leaving without informing. All other options are incorrect. Option A, reinforce the ground rules to remind all team members of the expected behavior. Yes, that would be your preferred choice once you understand the reason. Maybe they have valid reasons, right? So first you try to understand that, and then you go with the action. Option C, review the team charter to see the agreed and preferred work style. Yes, could be helpful, but meeting and having direct conversation is more fruitful rather than just reviewing the team charter. When you review the team charter, you're ignoring that personal dynamics of the team members. And HR policy, these are almost C and D are same, right? So correct answer is option B. Talk to the individual, try to understand their reasons, and then come up with a way forward. Let's read the explanation. So Lala is saying then why team members complaining if wasn't team charter? Yes, I mean, you're right. That's why I said question statement indicates that there is something wrong. But since we don't assume things, so even if we ignore this, still the answer would be B. But yes, you're absolutely right. If team members are complaining, there is something wrong. Next question. All right, Jashri, you have chosen option C.
Yes, the question is about
Your voice is not clear. I'm not able to hear you. All right, Vivek, you have chosen option C.
Yes, actually, I was confused between A and C, but since A has like talking about expertise, that can be like that can be gained through some supervision or some practice also. That particular expertise can be gained over the time. So that's why I like lean towards more C, where the specific strategic planning and decision has to be taken. So this decision should be done by only project manager. So such task cannot be dedicated, and that's the C option.
Okay, so you're saying when the PM needs to focus on strategic planning and higher level decision making, at that time, PM should not delegate tasks. This is what you're saying, that in that situation, delegation shouldn't be done.
Sorry, I misunderstood that in that case. So that particular task cannot be delegated. So C cannot be right answer. In that case, A should be the right answer. I'll change
All
my
right.
answer to A. Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Nikki, you have chosen option B.
Yeah, I was thinking it's asking when should this not be done. Well, I think that you don't want to. I don't know. The question is worded oddly, like it feels like it's backwards. But when the task requires high level of expertise, well, of course you want to only give a task to someone that you know they have that level to complete the task. Like you don't want to give it to the brand new kid who doesn't know how to do it. So that was what I was thinking. And then B, when team members make frequent mistakes, well, if you see someone's making mistakes all the time and their tasks that they're assigned to do, well, then you definitely don't want to give them another task to improve efficiency if they've been making errors. So correct the errors and train them, and then maybe you give them another additional task, but not until they're proficient at what they're already doing. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Nikki. Lala, you have chosen option A.
Yeah, so the question is that you circumstance that where you should not delegation to be done, yeah, right, as a project manager. So team members can make a mistake, but you can correct them, right? So you can still delegate to them, say, hey, you made a mistake, can you please correct this as a project manager, right? So that's why I cross it out B. When the project manager needs to focus on strategic plan high level, that's why I'm delegating the work for the team member, because I'm concerned I'm working on, delegation and other stuff that I have to think about. That's why I'm going with the process of, hey, can you please do this for me while I'm working on something else? So that's why C is out also. When the team members are not willing to take ownership and responsibility of task, I think that we can also work with it. We can say, hey, this is something really urgent. If you can, I have other priorities, higher priorities that I have to focus, and if you can take care of this. The only place that I cannot do it, I feel like when they don't have the expertise, right? And then that as a project manager, I have the only expertise that I can do it, or I have the authority to do it, that I cannot compromise, that give that position, that work, delegate to somebody else, because I have the authority to do that work. That's why I went with A.
Thank you so much, Leila, for detailed explanation. So yes, that is correct. When team members, they don't have the relevant skill set, and that skill set only with the project manager, then we cannot delegate because they won't be able to do the job, right? So as Lala mentioned, yes, they can make mistakes and that should be allowed. And we intentionally let team member do the job so that because that's the learning process. So even if they are making mistakes or errors, that's perfectly fine. That's not an issue, right? As long as they're willing to do. So option C requires delegation, as we discussed. Like when the project manager needs to focus on high level priorities, then they should delegate the task with low priorities. Option D, when team members are not willing to take ownership and responsibilities of the task. Yes, I mean, that could potentially impact your delegation decision, but that's not the core reasons of not delegating. You can address this through motivation and other stuff, right? So correct answer is option A. You cannot delegate when team members don't have skill set or expertise, right? Let's read the explanation. Next question. All right, Carlos, you have chosen option D.
Yeah, and I might be wrong on this, but this is the way at least the government of Canada works. You do have to have a governance plan where there's an alternate delegation of authority when the DA is not there. There's somebody else that is there designated. This is protocol. So other places may be different, but this was what happens here.
All right, thank you. Carlos, you have sorry, Robin, you have chosen option D.
I was between C and D, but then I thought if you go to C, to senior management, they're going to tell you to review the governance plan. So that's why I chose D.
All right, since most of you have chosen option D, so yes, D is the correct answer. In governance plan, we write the delegation of authority and who is responsible for what, right? So we have, for example, if sponsor is not there, this person would be doing that. So we have that hierarchy in place in that. So we already defined that because this is not a situation that is just one time, that would occur one time in the project. This may occur multiple times. So you already define that hierarchy. Okay, if A is not available, then B would be doing that. If B is not available, then C would be doing that, right? So to have that efficient system, you have that decision-making delegation hierarchy. So correct answer is option D. Let's read the explanation. Next question. All right, Nikki, you have chosen option D.
That was last time. This time I picked C.
All right, go
Meet
ahead.
with the team and meet with the team and reinforce the ground rules and expectations that were agreed upon in the team charter. I think like I eliminated A because I mean, yeah, you can have regular meetings and check in with every member, but do you have time to meet with every member that frequently? It's probably it seems like in the question it says that team members, so there's multiple people not communicating regularly. So it's a problem with not just one person. You could check in with one person and say, hey, remember, we're going to need to do this, 3 times a week or whatever. So if you meet with everyone and just go back over the rules and say, hey, I know we're getting lax or whatever, but we need to remember that, the communication should be happening this often, and just review it. And then hopefully that will eliminate the problem, because it doesn't say that they're doing a poor job. It just says they're just not communicating.
All right, thank you, Nikki. Mohan, you have chosen option D.
It seemed like the teams were not proactively communicating, and to me, it seems like there is a lack of this motivation. So I think D kind of rhymes more with the solution, which is recognizing that the team lacks that motivation, and how do you bring up that motivation. So I thought D was a better solution to improve the situation.
All right, thank you, Mohan. Robin, you have chosen option C.
Yes, as far as I can remember, the ground rules in the team charter have been or something that the team goes by, and the question indicates that they're not adhering to that. So meeting with the team to reinforce the ground rules and expectations that were agreed upon in the team charter, that seems to be the best option.
All right, thank you for detailed explanation. Now let's read the question. It says you have recently kickstarted a project. So means you have just signed the charter, or you are just out of the forming stage. And the team has signed a team charter agreeing to certain norms. So there's an agreement on certain norms and expectations, including proactive communication and regular status updates. However, you have noticed that your team members only provide status updates on their work when you specifically ask for them, and do not proactively communicate their progress. It means they are not adhering to the agreement, to the norms, or to the values, right, which are mentioned in team charter. What you should do to improve the situation and ensure more consistent communication? Since there is no reason mentioned in the statement like why they are doing that, so we cannot assume it's just lack of motivation, right? It could be other reasons. Maybe they are occupied, right? Maybe they are not used to this kind of culture, right? There could be multiple reasons. So what you would be doing, you will be reinforcing the values, you will be reinforcing the agreement one more time again. And if it is a consistent problem, then maybe you can go with the root cause analysis, try to find the reason like why they are doing that, and then come up with an option. So option D would be the third step. So first you will be reinforcing, then you will be doing the root cause analysis, then you will be coming up with the right strategy that you will be choosing. So correct answer is option C, meet with the team and reinforce the ground rules and expectations that were agreed upon in team charter. Let's read the explanation. Last question. All right, Mohan, you have chosen.
Yeah, yeah, I picked option A. So basically, there's issues with misunderstanding and communication gap cross-functionally, right? And it's basically slowing down the progress. So how do we fix that issue? I thought A was the best option. Essentially, have everybody in the room have these cross-functional team meetings where you're discussing, the progress and the challenges, etc. This is where they can communicate, talk to each other, and improve on the communication and understand the misunderstandings.
All right, understand the misunderstanding. Good.
Good.
Thank you. Manmeet, you have chosen option A.
For the very same reason that there's a communication gap and misunderstanding between the teams, and it's affecting the progress. So having the cross-functional team meeting would definitely solve the misunderstandings, and it will help us to progress and face the challenges. So yeah, the cross-functional meeting is the first step, best way to enhance the collaboration.
All right, thank you. Lala, you have chosen option B.
Yeah, it was between option A and B, and I thought A was more like a generic, like there we're talking about the various departments, right? So there we're talking about multiple people here. I mean, from which of these persons you're gonna have a meeting with to kind of be more, cross-functional with them. So that's why I said maybe if we have like a liaison or like representative from each department, and then we communicate regularly with them, clearly define their like what is needed to be done or what's the next step. I thought that would be a better option. So I was really between A and B. I thought A was more generic. I mean, we were talking about multiple departments here, not just like a couple of people. That's
All
why I
right.
thought B would be better options.
All right, thank you. Nikki, how would you like to respond to Lala's comment?
I can see that having that one person from each department meeting together would help to possibly eliminate the need for everyone to be there. But I guess it just depends on is each department only sending one person each time? Maybe they already have a team lead for each department and the leads are coming and we're having one meeting with all the cross-functional people. So that's kind of what I was thinking, was that it was already one person was kind of chosen from each group. That's what I was thinking. So I see the validity in both of those answers but I kind of felt like it had already kind of happened and there was one, maybe the head of that department or that department for this particular project would come to address the needs or share the needs from their group.
All right, thank you for the explanation. So one PMIism is that foster a culture of collaboration among all team members rather than just team leads. So, right, whenever you see an option like appoint one person to do that, right, assign this authority to that individual, right, or have a dedicated person for that, that option in most of the cases is not the correct choice, because yes, team leads would be collaborating with each other, but it would undermine the shared understanding among team members. So the best choice is where team members collaborate with each other. So just to respond to Lela's comment, it's not a couple of people are meeting. It says, if we read it, establish regular cross-functional team meetings. Cross-functional means across departments. So if you have 3-4 departments like marketing, finance, and engineering, so marketing team is meeting with finance, finance is meeting with engineering, and all team meetings, all teams are meeting together. So this is how you can build shared understanding and you can address the communication gap rather than a few people, like 3 people are meeting. So what would happen to rest of people? How they will understand progress of the project or all the issues and challenges and problems. So correct answer is option A, establish regular cross-functional team meetings where you will be directly addressing communication across different functions. So A is correct. Let's read the explanation. All right, everybody, we're done with today's session. Just put your score in the chat window. 80%, 60%, 60, 70, 50, 50, 30, 40, 50, 90. Wow. 50. So what do you think? Questions are easy or what? Or
I think it was
you
easier than before, to be honest.
easier than before? Means there is no improvement in you. It's just questions are easy.
I don't know. I mean, it was easy to understand it, but it was, twisted words, but easy to understand at least.
Yeah, so this is how your exam would look like, a combination of very difficult questions. So some questions would be like where you will be completely, clueless, like you won't have any idea about that, right? And in some situation, they would be straightforward. You will think like, is it the right answer? Because this is so simple. So this is how your exam would be combination of questions. All right, everybody, my next course starts on September 7th. Please share the detail with your colleagues and friends. Those who are watching on YouTube, you can get details from here. All right, thank you so much. I'll see you tomorrow. Take care. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.